Leland joins me now. I got to tell you, I'm going to watch the special. If that O'Reilly doesn't cry at any point talking to you as you recount this story, I will slap the tears out of his face. Leland, I have to say, this is such a beautiful gift that you're giving to so many families and kids out there struggling with what to do for their child to help them live the best life they can, which they can on the spectrum, but it's not easy. Thank you for saying, look at me.
Well, thank you, Chris. And I think you rightly point out, it is my story, Born Lucky. You can get it on Amazon right now. Don't change the channel, but pick up your phone and feel free to order it. It is for all these families, every family whose kid is struggling the way I did, not just with anxiety, not just with ADHD or autism, but bullying and the difficulties of growing up, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. It's actionable stuff to give parents real hope. And look, this book has the darkest, deepest, most awful memories of my life. It's not fun to go to therapy on national television, but I'm doing it because I think it can really help folks. And my dad had a hard time sharing this story. He didn't ever tell anybody about my diagnosis. He didn't want me defined by it. He didn't want me using it as an excuse. But I asked him at the end when we had a manuscript, I said, okay, I get you're uncomfortable about this, but if someone had handed you this book when I was diagnosed, when you were sitting there and I was 5 years old and you were in that little medical office and they said, there's nothing we can do for him and we don't know what's going on inside his head, and his eyes lit up, he said it would have been like magic for me. And I hope it will be for so many families.
What was the hardest thing for you emotionally in going through the process of telling the story?
It's a great question. I think the hardest part was reliving what my dad went through. So I left that school that you just heard about in 5th grade. My parents ended up pulling me out of school. And in 7th grade, I started at a new school. And 2 or 3 weeks into that new school year, my parents got called into the principal's office. They thought it was like a checkup, right? And the principal sat my parents down and said, you know, everybody at this school thinks Lucky is really weird. And by the way, I do too. So 2 arrows through my parents' heart. And they didn't say he has autism or anything like that. They just left. And my dad at that point was spending every night at home with me, putting me back together after the days of bullying and isolation. So he now gets me to 8th grade, and I come home after 8th grade. He's standing at the end of the driveway, and he asked me how was school that day. And this was an everyday occurrence. And one day was particularly bad. A teacher in art class had decided, I guess, I wasn't going to be Picasso, and he said in front of the entire class to me, hey, Vittert, if my dog was as ugly as you, I would shave its ass and make it walk backwards. So obvious response in the class. My dad obviously was hurt for me and upset, but like most days, we went to my room and he sort of put me back together, and he promised me that the reasons I was getting bullied now and the character qualities I had were going to make me succeed later in life, and the determination and grit that I had. Fine, not that I really believed him, but he'd kind of put me back together for a couple of hours, and I didn't know this until I wrote the book and interviewed for him and interviewed my mom about these situations. And he would leave my room after I cried and yelled for hours. He'd go downstairs late at night. My mom was already asleep, and he'd sit there in the dark in the living room and he'd start crying for hours. And then my mom would come out and see him when he hadn't come to bed. And I think hearing what my dad went through silently so that I could succeed in telling that part of the story was the hardest part.
The book is Born Lucky. He had Leland had birth complications, umbilical cord, and so he was lucky. So his nickname was Lucky. I don't believe in luck. I believe in work and commitment. And I got to tell you, Leland, one, your father's got to be so proud, your mother and father, of where you are at this early stage, and you're a beautiful guy. But I hope when you have a son and you have a daughter, and may God bless you and your wife with family, when you realize what kind of superhero you had as a father.
Unquestionably.
Are you able to, because you don't know anything else. He's the only dad you've ever had. But how do you do that? How do you make him know how special he is to you?
Well, this is the thank you, right? This is the love letter to my dad and the thank you. And I think the thank you, the best possible thank you to him, and I know he's watching right now, he watches you every night, is to help share this story and give hope to other families, right, that are suffering silently as he did, and to tell people you're not alone.
I got to tell you, I love it. I just love it. It's the right time. It's the right message. And I got to tell you, you're the right guy because, you know, the knock on you is you're too perfect. And when people understand how you got here and the bond with your father, what a guy. What a guy. Thank you for the gift of the book. I love being your colleague, and I love being a part of you getting to share this story. Everybody should read it.
Thank you.
My brother. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.